today banks are our customers. We have lots of financial institutions around the world, payment providers, everybody from HSBC and SocGen all the way down to, smaller players you've never heard of doing payment processing between the Philippines and Singapore. We do have a conditional OCC charter, which is really for almost belt and suspenders regulatory oversight for our stablecoin business. We launched a stablecoin business 13 months ago. It stands at about number 5 of the largest stablecoins now, which we're in just over a year, we're very proud of. But we went kind of the extra step of having regulatory oversight both through the New York Department of Financial Services, the trust license. Then we also went and applied for an OCC charter, which we now have conditional approval on. We think that uniquely positions us as almost over-regulated, but we want that. Because we work with institutions, we want them to look at us as going above and beyond to make sure there is that level of oversight, so there's no questions about, is the stablecoin backed one-to-one? Is it the attestations on a regular basis about those backings? So we think that's important if we want stablecoins to impact in a positive way.
Did you catch that? Brad Garlinghouse just said the quiet part out loud. HSBC, major global banks, they are Ripple customers, not partners, not exploring. Customers. And here's the kicker. Ripple is so heavily regulated under NYDFS and the OCC that Brad called them almost over-regulated. This is the exact opposite of what the SEC tried to paint for years. Now, before we go deeper on what this means for XRP holders, you need to understand what's happening behind the scenes with the US Treasury right now, because this is the context that makes everything click. The US Treasury just shattered all previous records for debt buybacks. We're talking over $228 billion in debt purchased since May 2024. A single operation in April alone, $15 billion, the largest single buyback in history. And they've now raised the quarterly cap to $38 billion. The official story? Technical liquidity support, not stimulus. But here's what they don't say on the news. That cash from bond sales has to go somewhere. And where is it flowing? Into equities, into credit markets, and yes, into Bitcoin. This is institutional money being deployed at scale. The floodgates aren't just opening, they're being ripped off the hinges. And when you combine this macro liquidity explosion with what Brad Garlinghouse just confirmed about major banks using Ripple, you start to see the picture forming. XRP isn't waiting for adoption. Adoption is already here. The question now is, how high can this thing actually go? And this is exactly why the biggest institutions on the planet are choosing the XRP ledger. Listen to this. 1 block settlement. When the XRP ledger closes, it's done. No waiting. No uncertainty. No praying your transaction doesn't get reorganized. Compare that to Ethereum, where you might need 6 to 20 blocks before settlement is truly final. That could be minutes of uncertainty in volatile markets. But XRPL, it closes and it's final, period. This isn't just a feature they added to compete. This is the foundation of the entire network. 24/7 real-time settlement. No weekends, no holidays, no banking hours. Global finance that never sleeps. And when you're a bank like HSBC moving billions of dollars across borders, when you're an institution that cannot afford settlement risk, you don't gamble on slower networks. You choose the one built for this exact purpose. From day one. This is why Ripple has over 300 financial institutions as customers. This is why central banks are exploring XRPL for their digital currencies. The technology speaks for itself. Watch what happens next when we look at the charts.
Many blockchains handle settlement really differently. The XRP ledger, for example, and part of the reason Ripple builds on top of the XRP ledger is it's 1 block settlement. So when the XRP ledger closes, it's done. You don't have, Ethereum, sometimes you can have some custody platforms, you'll see 20 blocks, some custody platforms, you'll see 6 blocks, and settlement is a little bit different. Not to say things don't settle.
The technicals are now screaming what the fundamentals have been whispering for months. XRP just broke out above the December high resistance. This level, this was the ceiling that rejected price multiple times. And now, we're above it. The next target, according to this analysis, 1.88. But that's just the beginning of what this chart is showing us. Look at this chart carefully. We have a weekly RSI golden cross forming at the bottom. This is one of the most reliable bullish signals in technical analysis. The Fibonacci extensions are mapped out clearly here. 161.8% extension puts us at 1.88. But look higher. 261.8% extension on wave 3 sits at 2.58. And the ultimate target on wave 5, 5.85, nearly $6. Now, I want to be clear, charts don't guarantee anything. But when you combine this technical setup with major banks confirmed as Ripple customers, with treasury liquidity flooding the markets, with instant settlement technology that competitors cannot match, you're looking at a perfect storm scenario. The last time we saw confluence like this, XRP went from pennies to nearly $4 in months. And that was without regulatory clarity. That was without RLUSD. That was without central banks actively exploring the ledger. What happens this time? And if you think what we've covered today is big, you need to hear what's coming next for Ripple Treasury. The question everyone's asking, what's next? Here's what we know is in the pipeline. Integration with Ripple's cross-border and intercompany settlement products. This means Treasury services will connect directly to the infrastructure already being used by major banks worldwide. But here's where it gets really interesting for holders paying attention. 24/7 yield generation on idle cash. Think about what this means. Corporations sitting on billions in cash reserves that currently earn nothing on weekends, nothing after hours, nothing on holidays. Ripple Treasury is about to offer round-the-clock yield. No downtime, no missed opportunities. This is a massive value proposition for any corporation managing significant cash positions, and they're promising major announcements soon. When a company that just got Brad Garlinghouse on camera confirming bank customers says major announcements are coming, you pay attention. This is not speculation. This is not hopium. This is a company executing a roadmap that positions XRP at the center of global finance. The question isn't whether XRP will be used by institutions. Brad just told us it already is. The question now is whether you're positioned before the rest of the world catches on. The opportunity of a generation is forming right in front of us. Don't miss what's coming next.